Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another video, and this one's going to be a little different because it's a video type that I've wanted to do for a while, but I figured now would be a better time than ever to do it because as of today, the day this video is coming out, I am no longer employed. I just finished my last shift at a retail establishment and will not be getting another job in retail, which means that I will not be working in retail for the first time in almost 12 years. And as you can imagine, in those 12 years of retail, I've accumulated quite a few interesting stories. And so for this video, I wanted to sit down and share 3 of them with you as sort of a way of entertaining you guys and sort of an interesting method of self-therapy for me. And if you guys like it, make sure to like it. I really do enjoy making this kind of content, and I hope this is going to be a fun video. And if you don't like it, you can dislike the video, but leave a comment letting me know why you guys didn't like it so I can try to improve it for later. But aside from that, I figured we'll dive right in and see if we can make this into a series. So let's begin. Cheers. All right, so this first story begins with me ruining a marriage while working in a smartphone section of a retail store. We're starting off strong with this one. So how do you ruin a marriage while working in the smartphone section of a retail store? Well, one of the biggest differences between a carrier store and a retail store with smartphones in it, apart from the fact that a carrier store focuses on one carrier and the retail store focuses on many, so you see a wide range of people. The other difference is that we didn't work on commission. And because we didn't work on commission, our time wasn't seen as nearly as valuable as one in a carrier store. So we did troubleshooting a lot, and we did a lot of long troubleshooting sessions. And that always irritated me because I felt like my time was worth more. And then I ended up basically sitting down with people who told me their phones wouldn't charge, and then I would pick like, you know, just half-inch thick pieces of lint out of the charger and suddenly it works. Hey, what a miracle. But then they still expect us to sell. Anyway, that's not the point. We did a lot of troubleshooting, and because we had a wide range of carriers, we saw a wide range of people, from the highfalutin AT&T people who have been there and been grandfathered in since the advent of the iPhone, to the good old crackheads working with Virgin Mobile over there at the corner store in Hagerstown. We saw all kinds. And in this case, we had a couple come in with an Android phone that was running particularly slow. Now, I'm no stranger to slow Android phones. I'm personally more of an iPhone guy because I'd rather have my phone maker stop sending me updates while the phone is still fast rather than pushing my phone way further than it should and making it super slow. And yes, before anybody says anything in the comments, I know they did that with the 4S, but they haven't done it since, so shut up. But either way, I'm more than familiar, even to this day, with slow Android phones, but this phone was running particularly slow, like egregiously slow, and it was a brand new phone. This was when the Galaxy S6 had just launched, to give you an idea of how long ago this was, and I hadn't seen one of these run that slow. There hadn't been any updates pushed to it to make it slow. I didn't see any apps that were noticeably malware, and running in the background, the only thing that was open was the web browser. So I figured, well, maybe the web browser just crashed and hadn't been force closed. So I opened the web browser. That was a big mistake. Now, before this, the wife had been saying that her husband was complaining about the phone being slow because of the fact that it's just a faulty phone. There's no way that a brand new phone could be running this slow. But upon opening the web browser and seeing literally 50 open tabs of I pretty handily convinced them that it was not a defective phone. The husband grabbed the phone from me immediately and rushed out the door, his wife tailing him with fire. You could feel the daggers coming out of her eyes when I turned the phone to him and said, "I think I figured out why your phone is so slow." And I never saw the customers after that. So I'm pretty sure that I ended a marriage while working in a retail mobile phone department. Now, this next story takes place while I was working at the Easy Tech section of Staples. This was even further back than when I was working in the mobile phone section. And this was different because normally you would have a repair technician and you would have a consulting technician, somebody who would answer questions and sort of guide people through things that they weren't familiar with on their devices. And then obviously the repair technician, as the name implies, would repair things. However, the Staples that I was working at the time, and a Staples that is actually still near to where I live today, is usually what I refer to as the Staples time forgot. So the employment level in that store was so low that I was pulling double duty working as the consulting technician and the repair technician. So I just kind of rolled with it because I was young and dumb and I thought it would be exciting. I'm finally working in tech. The only problem I really noticed with Easy Tech was that when you are second place to Geek Squad, you usually get the angry people who Geek Squad turned away because their request was so outlandish that they just refused to do it, and then you get to deal with it down the line. And that's exactly what this story entails. Now, because I was pulling double duty as repair and consulting technician, I knew the questions to ask when somebody would bring a computer in, and generally, if it was something simple, I could consult and teach the customer how to fix the problem on their own, as opposed to checking it in and repairing it unnecessarily. But this customer came in and had something wrong with the machine that I had never seen and have never seen since. This older gentleman comes in with a laptop that is easily 12 years old, and this is back in around 2013, so this thing was old. And the customer was the kind of person who refuses to get rid of a device because it still turns on, but then also gets angry because the device is so old that even though it still turns on, it can't browse the web, it can't load videos, can't load email, and just generally stops working on a software level. But it still turns on, so they refuse to get rid of it and want it fixed. Well, this one actually had an issue on a hardware level, and it was a customer-caused hardware issue. This gentleman wore a very large Omega diving watch, which is a large metal, generally steel or titanium watch that if you have something like a MacBook or any metal-topped laptop, you know, laptops that actually are worth protecting, you would be afraid to scratch it, and you generally want to take your watch off before using it. But this gentleman did not want to take his watch off ever, and he also didn't want to scratch the cheap purple plastic that these Dell computers used roughly 20 years ago now. This customer taped a piece of cardboard, about yay big, to the palm rest of his laptop, but he didn't tape it down with double-sided tape or scotch tape, painter's tape, duct tape. No, that'd be way too easy. He taped it down with boat sealing tape, basically Flex Seal before Flex Seal was a thing. Just an unnecessary level of adhesive, and adhesive that didn't react well with the plastic to the top of his laptop. So when I went to use it, I put my hands down and you could feel the palm rest under the plastic sinking in, meaning where the tape sat, it had actually eaten through and softened the plastic enough that I could push the palm rest down under the cardboard. And I told him, you'll need a new top shell. But at the age that the computer is, we're not gonna be able to get a new top shell. And he wanted me to remove the tape to show him the damage. And the instant that I began to peel the tape back, I could see almost as if it had fused with the tape, the purplish plastic color that these Dells used coming up with the tape. And the instant I did that and saw that I was probably gonna pull the top section that had melted away off the laptop, I stopped and I said, I can't help you anymore. At this point, it's a liability on me because if I continue peeling, you're gonna claim that I damaged the laptop. And at that point, managers got involved and the gentleman refused to leave the store and he refused to leave without getting some sort of compensation for the damage I caused to his laptop because he didn't have an issue with the palm rest before it came in. He was simply coming in because it couldn't get on the internet. However, after being debriefed by my manager, I informed him that he, in fact, did originally come in complaining about how soft the palm rest felt and that it was running a bit slow. So with the manager believing my side of the story and not believing the angry customer side of the story who tried to throw said laptop at the manager, I got away scot-free telling the customer he could leave the store. This next tale is a tale of caution about pre-planning ahead so that you're not buying something a few days before Christmas and making poor decisions on how to get it home. So at the time that this story took place, I was working in the television section of a fairly popular retailer for electronics, whose name I'm not going to say until there's a little more time for me not being employed by them, but I'll say it eventually. So working in the TV section, you usually run into people who, especially around the holidays, want the TV they purchased now or as quickly as possible. They basically want to take it home that day. And you usually have to explain to them that if they rolled up in a 2004 Honda Civic and bought a 65-inch TV, it wasn't going to work. So that was a pretty common conversation, and after explaining that shipping is only about an extra 2 days and it's free, they usually calm down enough to be rational about it and say, all right, well, that's fine. I guess I can wait a little bit longer. But not this gentleman. So this gentleman wanted to buy a 65-inch Vizio TV. Pretty nice TV, and again, fairly large. And the packaging for TVs is also very, very large because you have to be able to pad these and make sure that they make it to where they're going in one piece. And we generally explain the rules of transportation for these televisions. You want to keep them upright, don't lay them down or they'll flex. You want to make sure that they are secured, and generally if it's raining, you want to cover them or put them inside of something that is not going to be, exposing them to the weather in any way. So what this basically means is if you're packing the TV into anything smaller than a fairly large station wagon, a truck, a minivan, or a box truck, we will refuse to help you put it in because we don't want the liability of the broken TV to be on us. We leave that all to you there, buddy. And this often means that people will strip the TVs out of the boxes, leave the boxes on the sidewalk, which is littering, by the way, and throw it in the back of their Civic sideways with the seat down and hope it makes it home in one piece, and then come back later with it broken and claiming that it came out of the box that way. Either way, that's not the point of this story. The point of this story was that this gentleman wanted to buy a 65-inch Vizio and wasn't exactly happy with the fact that it was going to only be showing up on the 23rd, 2 days before Christmas. He wanted it to be there well before that so he could plan how he was going to show it to his wife and hopefully wrap it and things like that. And so he wanted to take it home that day. And I said, okay, fine, we'll make that happen. And we go to ring the TV out, and a little bit later in the conversation than I would have normally said it, because I had to spend the first part of that listening to him rant about how long it would take to ship it in, I asked the gentleman, what vehicle is this going in? I usually ask that once we've settled in on a TV and before we ring it out, but I asked a little bit later. The gentleman looks at me with a completely straight face and says, 1996 Toyota Camry. And I laughed, and I think he thought that was a little rude, but I laughed because people will come in prepared, properly prepared, with the right vehicle, like a truck, and I ask them what vehicle is it going in, and they'll say something to that effect. They'll say, oh, it's my Camry, or oh, I'm putting it in a Beetle. And I always laugh because they're saying it in satire because they came with the right stuff prepared. This customer was dead serious. So after I confirmed that he was serious by saying, you're serious? He said, yes. I then proceeded to say, I cannot help you load this TV into your car because even with me ringing it out and me being willing to move it to the front of the store for you, it is not going to fit inside of that car. So because of that, the liability of breaking the TV is on you. It will not fit in the car. So he then asks, what's the safest way to transport it? And I told him upright, covered from the weather because at this point it was snowing, and secured in a way that it's not going to go anywhere as long as the vehicle it's in is moving. He listened very intently and said, okay, I'm going to go get the car. I'll meet you up front. And I told him again, I'm not going to help you load this. He goes, that's fine. Okay. I push it up to the front. He pulls the Toyota Camry around, and I watched him as he took the TV out. What happens next is some of the best redneck engineering and just pure stubbornness I have ever seen in my life. This guy pulls rope out of his trunk, proceeds to balance the TV on top of the car. Fortunately, it wasn't windy, it was just snowing. Puts it on top of the car, throws a tarp over it that he had in his trunk, and then proceeds to secure it to the top of the car, upright, with rope, through his windows, not with the doors open, through the open car windows, thus sealing his doors shut with the rope, which he didn't realize till later. And then, and I don't understand this even to this day because it didn't make much of a difference, he then proceeded to run a piece of rope with a monkey's fist knot, if you don't know what that is, that's a monkey's fist knot, into the hood, like under the hood, under the bonnet, whatever you want to call it, of his car, and locked the hood down so the monkey's fist held it in place. He then took the other end of the rope and ran it over the top of the TV, into the trunk, or boot, whatever you want to call it, through the back passenger seats, and then took a second rope, tied it between the driver and passenger seat, and then went and tied that rope coming through the seat between those two to, I guess, tighten it down from the top and the sides. This is after he realized his doors were shut and proceeded to roll the driver's side window down and climb into the driver's seat through the window. So at this point, we have a 65-inch Vizio TV stacked on top of a 1996 Toyota Camry with ropes holding the doors shut, running over top of the TV with the TV upright. And then a single rope that I can't imagine lasted long over the top of the TV, held under the hood by a monkey's fist knot, and then into the trunk, through the passenger back seats, and around a rope tied between the two front seats. And he drove it home. I didn't see him come back in to return it, so presumably he made it, because I also didn't hear anything in the news about a Toyota Camry flipped over on its side on the highway with a TV strapped to the roof. But I have to say, some people just want to get those TVs home before Christmas. Either way, guys, that's been it. Thank you so much for watching this video. Again, leave a comment letting me know if you like it. I am super curious. I'd love to make this into a series. Telling these stories is just fun for me, and hopefully you all found it entertaining too. I'm gonna, hopefully, if my vision for this is what I am hoping it's gonna be, I'll have some sort of basic visuals to sort of help you visualize what's going on. But either way, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. And if this becomes a series, I'll see you in the next one. Make sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment, and have a good one.